Delilah, 66 Plymouth Fury 3. It's got a 383 in it. And yeah, so right now it's got a beat up Holley, 4150 4-barrel carb, an intake, Edelbrock intake on it. And I don't have such a terrible time with it because I think I grew up driving junk. I know how to drive old junk. But my wife, on the other hand, loves driving a car. And she's not such a fan of it stalling out when it's cold and this, that, and the other thing. The carb is missing some parts, doesn't have a fast idle, stuff like that. So I got a factory 2-barrel carb and intake I rebuilt. And we're going to stick that on it and see how this old 383 likes it. We ain't in it for, impressive horsepower or anything like that, which the 383 is. They're great runners. They just aren't, it takes a lot of work to make a lot of power out of 383. So they're good tire burners. It's fun to say you got a big block, but yeah. At the end of the day, we just use Delilah for cruising and just enjoying the old classic car, There's just the feel of the old classic car. So anyway, with that being said, let's get into swapping this thing over. Alright, so take all this off here. Should be pretty easy. So this thing's got these old Urson, I think is how you say it, E-R-S-O-N. I've never seen them before, but it's got these Urson valve covers on it, and they don't have baffles or anything like that in it. So the oil kind of sloshes out of it. And rather than add baffles to it, I have an old set of Mopoor Performance valve covers, so we're going to be putting those on you today too, and then cleaning up some of this, these spark plug wires and all that, separate some of that out, and just cleaning up in here a little bit. But yeah, let's get to it. Also, when I had to put this intake on it, they had a single plane intake on it when I got it, which this engine's not built for a single plane intake at all. So it just didn't make any sense. I'm sure they threw whatever they had laying around on it. So I put a Edelbrock Performer on here, and I ended up, it was for a spread bore, and of course the Holley's square bore, so I had to put an adapter plate in there. So when I did that, I ended up having to extend the kickdown linkage and everything here, the bracket for the kickdown and throttle linkage. So we're going to be changing that back to what it was. I'll have to take that extension out of there, I'm sure. Yeah, let's get into it. Move the fuel line here. That'll be another thing I got to change. They got a rubber hose running up to it. I'm going to be changing that to a steel line coming down off the fuel pump down there. Rebending one of those and putting that in there along with the new fuel filter. It's kind of interesting. A few weeks ago when we were at Mopoor's at the Strip, the owner that I got this from ended up being there and seeing it. And I wish I would have been around. I was out looking at other cars or jacking around somewhere, but my wife ran into him when he asked to see under the hood and everything else. He was all excited to see that we were actually using the car, that it went to a good use, because they had it parked for like 15 years when his son was in the service and everything else. So it was kind of interesting. I wish I had been there when he was there, but yeah. So when you're loosening these intakes, just do it opposite of your torque sequence. So when you're torquing them, you kind of work your way from the center out. So we're going to work our way from the outside to the center. Brake booster hose. It's always good. The camera goes dead. 2 minutes into 2 minutes into recording. But got you guys plugged in now, so hopefully good to go. That's the first knuckle. Alright, so that struggle there was because when I torqued that on, I didn't have a good enough washer on there. My flat washer is not it's not like what came factory, it's too thin. And it dished out, and it was pretty hard to get a socket on there. So when I go to put one in, I'll get a new grade 8 bolt and a better washer. I go to do that. Alright, so fuel line's off, bolts are out. Let's take that kick down off. Okay. And throttle linkage. Forgot that I had to really rig that to get it to work with this Holley setup. Alright, now we're down to the gasket here, or the intake pan, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to pop these 6 bolts, the front straps, 3 bolts each strap, take those off, and then that gasket, call it whatever you want. I'm going to keep calling it a gasket. But alright, so we're back. Got the valley pan, the intake gasket, whatever you want to call it, put in here. It's a Velcro, so it comes with a proper RTV. Put it in the 4 corners. Next, the straps will go on. Get a little bit of fresh paint put on those. We're going to do the bolts. this started. Listen, these intake gaskets, these valley pans, you talk to some old timers and they say that they're reusable, but I always replace them. To me, it doesn't make sense. If your intake doesn't line up and smush in there properly, I don't understand how they're reusable. You know, that metal is only humped up around the ports one time, and then when you squish it together, it seals to your intake. And even if you're reusing your intake and you move it just a little bit here, a little bit there, I don't know. I've seen too many of these with vacuum leaks when you're all said and done with it. So it's pretty cheap. It looks like a big expensive part, but honestly, it's like, I think this one was 30-something bucks, something like that. I mean, it's not worth the hassle of dealing with the vacuum leaks, in my opinion, but you guys can make your own decisions. My opinion is that vacuum leaks suck. And why deal with them? Or having to take the intake or anything back off over stupid stuff. Over a few bucks. Now, drop the intake on there. All right. Gotta love the old cast iron intakes. Just ungodly heavy. And then, like I said, I got new hardware for the intake, so we'll see. Hopefully these washers will work. Oh, dropping nothing on there. Alright, I'm just going to buzz those down just a little bit here, and then I have to modify the kick down, or the throttle cable bracket. Okay, good enough for right now. I'm going to take this off. Let's tackle these valve covers. see the bottom side, the valve cover here. There really should be a separator plate in here so that the oil doesn't just get thrown up into that breather and just go all over the engine, which is exactly what was happening. And I could take this and I could make a standoff and do a plate and everything. There's more than enough room with the rocker arms and everything to do that, but maybe that's a job for another day. These are kind of cool valve covers. But I got more big blocks that this can go on later in life. So for now, we'll put the Mopoor Performance one on. All right, now we're waiting for a couple of spark plug wire holder brackets to dry. So let's get that kick down on. Yeah, all shortened up now. Ground, repainted. It's just a ball stud it snaps onto for the rod that goes down to the transmission side. Did I not just screw that in there by hand? Definitely must get... Oh yeah, I get weaker as the day goes on, I think. Okay, let's just do this and take that back. No, I didn't put it on there by hand. I used the little wrapper.
I found this on the web.
Why? Why are you listening to me? And you're not even really listening to me. You're not doing a very good job. No, we're going to take them. 50 pounds. Okay, I'm going to take that fork there. Quick, I'll see what you're going to do. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do what I All right, so at the end of that last clip, sure you noticed when I did this last one here, it never clipped. Well, turns out it was stripped out. It was on its last leg. So, lucky for me, this one goes in and it's open to the inside of the head here, where the rocker arms are. There's nothing there. There's a gap to the head bolt. I don't know, probably 3/8 of an inch gap to the head bolt, and that's about it. The push rods aren't in the way. Nothing's in the way. There's no casting in the way. So what I ended up doing was got another 1/4 inch longer bolt, and I put a crimp nut on there. So it's an all steel crimp nut, not an eye lock. We don't want that, melting in there and coming off or anything. And then I retorqued it with that nut on there. Hopefully that never backs off, or it could be catastrophic. But I definitely don't want to go with a helicoil, and I'm not going to take the heads off to get them machined fixed right. So this should work. Yeah, do what you got to do. I mean, keep these things alive. Do what you got to do. But let's keep going. All right. Should be ready for the carb now. Okay, well I realized that I forgot to turn the camera on while I did some of that. So basically we got the valve cover swapped out, got the carb mounted choke hooked up, springs hooked up. If you notice, that's where I lost you guys. I shut it off. I had to adapt that bracket again for the kick down, so we'll see how that works here. But now I'm just going to bend the fuel line, cut a new one, flare it, bring it down to the fuel pump down there so I can eliminate that rubber hose that they had on there before. So yeah, we'll bend this up and see how she goes. All right, so got our line made up. I actually had a used big block one when I went home, took a look at it, but I had to make the lower half. Got our filter down there. I don't know if you can see that down there, but it turned out all right. Valve cover's on. I think we are ready for fire up. This is just for, I just got that plugged up now. I got to get some caps when I'm in town, but yeah, let's see what we can do to get this thing fired up. The cable was binding. I got to see what's going on with that when I use the pedal. Let it just warm up here, and then we can hook up the vacuum gauge and timing light, see how everything's doing. Test for vacuum leaks. Pretty responsive. I mean, okay. So we got a vacuum gauge hooked up, manifold vacuum. That's pretty decent now. Gosh, see if I can do this. Holding the camera in. You got your two screws underneath here for your idle fixture. So we're gonna watch that camera. Or I mean that gauge. Drop off there. Doesn't like being by the alternator there, I'm guessing. So we got a really good vacuum. We're at like 21. Well, we're sitting pretty good there. have to turn the idle down a little bit. Alright, so try to get you guys a reading on this, but yeah, right now we're at 1,000. We're going to drop that down and see how about 800-ish sounds. About 850 right there. Sitting at about 870 right there. Put it here, see how it feels. Put this where I can see it here. See how it starts here on hot start? Awesome. Doesn't diesel, starts up nice. Engine sounds good. That throttle was stuck when I first started it. So I'll have to see how that choke operation and everything works once it cools down again. But yeah, I think this is pretty much licked. I gotta go get a new air filter, get some vacuum caps, and yeah, I think that pretty much wraps this one up, guys. Overall, not too shabby. golly, that paint stinks. Oh, and also, if you guys think that that looks like Pontiac blue on that intake, I would never do that. No, but seriously, it is so freaking hard to get Chrysler turquoise for these big blocks. It's ridiculous. I need to get a color swatch of some, and you can get it mixed up, and I think that's what I'm gonna do.
All right, guys. Figured I'd give you guys a short video driving here. On the windshield throws it off a little bit, but yeah, so that should complete this video. Anyways, remember guys, work on them a little bit at a time. Even if you go out there every night, do something stupid, you know, spend 5-10 minutes just tinkering on something that's more than you would have got done if you didn't do anything. All right, guys. Well, next for Delilah is... Oh, we got to change the rear end gear in it. So the speedo's off, like, at 55, it reads 63. And it's because of you can't get tall 14-inch tires nowadays. So, and I'm not buying Coker tires or anything like that. So, yeah. We're just, we're going to stick with a little smaller tires. We'll re-gear the rear end. That's by far the cheaper option versus finding some more 15-inch rims and getting taller tires that way. But, yeah. Remember to like and subscribe. And, yeah. We are Mopoor. Get out there and work on them, people.